You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 229 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with the coolest guy ever. He dances, he sings, he's just an all-around rock star, Mr. Jeffrey Gargis. Jeffrey, wow. How are you doing? I know.
I'm doing great right now. I'm feeling good. 229 episodes is a lot of episodes.
I know. Aren't we done at 2:30? Isn't this our second to last episode?
We did agree. We're done at 2:30, aren't we? That's just what it is. Alex, we're joking.
We're joking.
I think Alex Valensek's like, wait a minute, what did you guys just say? So we're just messing. We're just goofing around. Speaking of awesome people in our network, as Alex is. Something I know that we all, our entire team loves doing is celebrating with people on our network and on our team and in our world. So can we, what?
I was going to say, I have a theory on that.
Theory on what? A
theory on, like, celebrating with people. Here's my thing. No matter how cool you are, it's cooler if you celebrate with people. Like, winning awards or doing something awesome is really, really great. But if you don't celebrate it with somebody, you're like missing out on a key part. So when you say the Teach Better family loves to celebrate people, like, duh, that's like a part of the happiness of life is like celebrating other people's cool stuff. Like, that makes it so much funner.
Because I don't do anything cool or awesome or anything.
That's not true. You're so drama. Jeff Gargis, right. You do cool stuff all the time.
I would take celebrating someone else any day over like anything. It's the best part of what we do, honestly.
It's just fun.
It is fun. So let's do it right now.
Let's do it right now.
Let's do it right now. I know you saw Brienne.
Yes.
Who was one of our ambassadors. Mm-hmm. And just tightened it into our entire family. She's been getting like a lot of props from the state of Ohio this past year.
Okay, so, every month
they're finally recognizing some. I know
every month it's like the state of Ohio is like, "Hey, Brienne, you're awesome," and I'm like, "How did the whole state know how great you were?" She's so cool.
Because the whole state knows. But she just shared. I hope she's okay with us sharing this. I didn't even ask.
We'll find out the hard way.
Do we need this? We'll share. This comes out a little bit, but she's been selected as an Ohio Teacher Leader Liaison. Which it was a lot that goes into that, a lot of stuff she's going to get to do and what more value she's going to bring to people. But the reality that I want to focus on is the fact that just Ohio, again, recognizing what she's doing as a teacher leader, as someone who steps up all the time in her district and steps up to not only help people in her district, but other people everywhere through sharing resources, through her books, through her just willingness to always be around to help. So just a huge shout out to you, Bree. We love you. We're so happy to have you as part of the family. So, if you're not already connected, what?
Okay, go ahead. But then I have a side note.
No, I'm done. I quit. No,
don't quit.
If you're not already connected with Brienne, if I remember correctly, her handle is @PlayYay.
Yes.
And then I think on Instagram it's PlayYayAuthor, if I remember correctly. So go follow Brienne and get connected there. Okay, Now you may interrupt. What's up?
Okay, so I know we weren't going to, like, go this route because we were going to say, hey, let's celebrate and, like, talk about celebrating people. But I do just have a little caveat that I want to challenge our listeners with, if it's okay with you. A lot of times that states, organizations, nonprofits, TV shows, when they choose to celebrate an educator, it's because someone nominated them. But I just want to challenge all of you. Like, I am so guilty. Every single week, my principal sends out a staff shout out form where you can like shout out a coworker, and every single week I pass on it.
You pick yourself every time?
Seriously? No. You're such a jerk. No, I pass on it because I'm like, I have other things to do. The people I work with know how great they are. I say thank you all the time. I don't need to take the 5 minutes, the 3 minutes to shout them out. But the reality is, guys, you deserve the shout out, the nomination, the recognition, because it is fun to celebrate. It's fun to get a thank you. It's fun to feel appreciated, but it's also really wonderful for a larger audience to also say it as well. And so just so you guys know, if you're an educator out there and you're like, gosh, I'd really love to go for this opportunity, but I need to be nominated, or I'd love to try this out, but somebody has to suggest you do it. It's okay to ask a friend who knows you well, who knows the work that you do, to help you out. Like, go out and like get recognized. I know it sounds weird. Sometimes it feels awkward to like ask for people to celebrate you, but celebration's a part of life. We want to celebrate you. And something that we say in the Teachers Deserve It book is like, teachers' voices deserve to be heard, but only if teachers' voices are actually saying something. Like, if we stay mute, if we stay quiet, then there's nothing to celebrate. We don't know it's happening. So go celebrate someone else, but then also ask somebody else to celebrate you, because that's not strange. It feels weird the first time you do it, but you so deserve to be celebrated. Jeff, even you, buddy, me. You deserve to be celebrated.
Thanks. That means a lot.
Can I celebrate you really quick?
Sure.
2 seconds. So I called you today. I don't know if you remember this.
You did.
I called you on the phone. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Jeff, I have something in my brain that needs to be written down for future discussion. And what did you do? You were like, I got you. And you stopped what you were doing. You talked me through it. You took notes. You were so responsible and just courteous. I just really appreciate you. You are worth celebrating, Jeff Gargas.
Fun fact, behind the scene note, while I was writing down your idea, what I was actually doing was just doodling your stick figure.
You know what? You ruined this whole thing.
I appreciate you celebrating me. Thank you. With that, I'm going to transition us with let's celebrate our guest today. How cool is that? So our guest, Krenice Roseman, I talk about this right when we start with her, but I saw the work that she and her now husband, Derek, were doing with their nonprofit, which is called Young, Black, and Lit, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. They're committed to increasing access to children's books that center, reflect, and affirm Black children. And they have, we talk about all the work they've done. I don't want to go too far into it because I like that we shared it there, but I reached out right away. I saw, it was actually on CNN, I saw a highlight of them. It was a really short highlight, but I said, oh, my, that is work that I want to celebrate, right? Yeah. And I want to share. And so I was so happy that we have brought her on. I love her backstory and connect. She's a lawyer by trade, but a huge fan of books, and found out she goes into it like how she's a huge fan of teachers too. And the work they're doing is just really, really cool, really, really important. And I hope that you'll listen through and look for ways that you can help support the work that they're doing and get involved, even if it's simply just sharing them out somewhere and celebrating them.
Look at that tie-in.
That would be nothing, whatever it is. So I really enjoyed this episode. Ray, your thoughts?
I'm such a fan. I would love for every educator, if the smallest thing you do is follow their story, that's a step. Like, I would love you to do 15 more steps and actually get their work into your children's hands. But I have to tell you, like, we need this group to have a stronger awareness of the incredible impact they're having. So just keep connecting. And you know what? These are good people. I love good people, Jeff. These are good people.
I like good people too. Good people are good people. Yeah. And that's good. We like good people. All right. With that, let's get into good people. Yeah. With episode 229 with Krenice Roseman.
All right, we'll be right back with that episode, but I do want to make sure that you know that you should be listening to all the podcasts, a part of the Teach Better podcast network. Yes, Teach Better Talk is a fun one, and we really appreciate that you have subscribed and hopefully rated and reviewed this podcast. But we also have other podcasts that we have the opportunity to highlight over in our podcast network. Head over to teachbetter.com/podcast to see the full list.
All right, we are here. We are chatting with Krenice Roseman. And Krenice, it's so awesome to have you on. To give a quick little backstory, and then we're going to get into stuff here, but I actually saw you featured on CNN, and I immediately reached out and said, you got to come on the podcast. The work you're doing is awesome. and you were so quick to respond. I can't remember if it was you or Derek that responded. And I'm so just excited to have you on because I think the work you're doing is so important and just really, really inspiring. So I'm super excited to have you on. I'm really excited to kind of dive into what led you to the stuff that you're doing and how things are going and how others can be involved. Before we dive too far into stuff, how are you feeling right now?
I am feeling a little relieved now that the election has somewhat wrapped up, maybe wrapped up.
Somewhat's a good word. Somewhat.
We might be a little closer to resolution, so some relief. I'm feeling good today.
No, it's so important. I know Jeff kind of like gave you a little bit of an introduction. I know that he shared kind of his, him learning about all the work that you're doing, but I want to make sure our listeners get to learn about that as well. So do me a little favor here. I'd love for you to kind of answer that question of somebody asking you what you do. Would you mind sharing a little bit on that?
Yeah. So what I do in the context of Young Black and Lit is I manage this nonprofit, which is based in the Chicagoland area, where we give away children's books featuring Black characters to local youth at no cost to the youth or their families. We partner with organizations, teachers, schools to make sure that we're getting the books directly into the hands of students. And we're really trying to work with teachers to make sure that we have, because I am an attorney by trade, not a teacher, but I am a lover of books, which is part of the reason why I started the nonprofit. But we make sure we just have really good, high quality, culturally relevant children's books that we can get out to as many children as possible.
And so can you walk us through sort of what brought this on? What made you say, hey, I'm going to start a nonprofit and we're going to collect these books and we're going to give them away? What was it that brought that on, that inspired you to start everything?
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, or I should back up, every year for my niece's birthday, whether she likes it or not, I get her books. and
you're that aunt. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I am. I'm that aunt. Yeah. And so this year, about 2 years ago in particular, I was late getting her gifts. I just ran into a local bookstore to see what I could find. And I was looking for books that specifically had little Black girls featured, either in the story, on the cover, just something that she would be able to relate to. And I thought it was going to be a quick in and out trip, and it was not. I could not find many books that were age appropriate and that told the stories of little Black girls. And there was far more books about animals than there were about little Black girls. And so I just became really frustrated by that experience. And I left there thinking, at the very least, let me just find some books centering little Black girls and donate them to my local rec center. And that was what I did. I got some books. I talked to some people like my Facebook friends and made a little Amazon wish list and asked people if they wanted to buy books, and I would, collect them all and donate them. I did that. The first month, I got really great feedback from my friends and family. So then we decided, okay, my boyfriend at the time, now husband, was like, hey, now you have to do one for little Black boys, collect some books featuring little Black boys. So we did that, and that also got a really great response and a really great reception from the folks we were donating to. And so it was his idea to say, hey, maybe we should do something bigger, turn this into something a little more meaningful. And so we decided to come up with Young Black and Lit.
And now you're a full-fledged 501c3 nonprofit. And doing some really, just incredible work on your. I looked at your website, and you have 9,138 books distributed. That's a lot of books.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
that are now in the hands of kids with no cost to them or to their families, and in the hands of kids who are now seeing themselves reflected in this book, right? And it's that representation, and it's kind of a cool alignment that everything that's been going on in our world with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris and that representation, that's a lot of what the work that you're doing here. So I'd love to hear, and I don't want to keep taking up all the time, but this has just got me so interested. How you started raising these books, you started getting books delivered, and then it's Derek, correct?
Yes.
And Derek says, hey, let's go bigger. Let's do that. So then what's the steps there? What was that like? Was it all right, so we have to go nonprofit, or was it, hey, let's get this idea, and then we had to figure out all the back end stuff? Like, where did you go from there? What was that bigger picture? And are you there, or how big are we going here?
So we're not there yet.
That was like multiple questions in one. I apologize.
No problem. So the first step, I think we were pretty clear from the beginning that we wanted it to be a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I first was starting like, this is a passion project. Like, if we could just get books into our local community, that would be great. Derek definitely has more of the business financial background. So he's like, you have to treat this like a business. Like, if we want it to grow and be meaningful, like, you have to think about it. So we went through the process of getting the 501c3 designation. And then from there, we just kind of, word started to spread. We just started to make these small donations. We had our website set up, and we put up like a sign up link, and we just started sending it out to all of our contacts, family and friends, saying, hey, if you're a teacher, school, organization, and you want free books, sign up here. And that's how it started. And then it started to grow a little more to organizations saying, hey, like, we want to, have you provide classroom libraries to all of our fifth grade teachers, right? And so we started building partnerships with schools and foundations who were like, hey, we have one of our more recent partnerships was with Reach Out and Read Illinois, which make sure that pediatrician offices are encouraging reading, encouraging parents to read to their children. And we were able to provide maybe over 40 library sets to pediatrician offices across the Chicagoland area. So then those partnerships start to grow for us. And ideally, what we started this year, we rolled out what we're calling our Lit Year program. And so in our first year, we were able to partner with 6 schools in the Evanston area, we're providing each kindergarten student in their free and reduced lunch program with 1 book per month for the entire school year, and an additional 5 books at the end of the school year for summer to encourage summer reading. So we're hoping that our Lit Year program will be the thing that we're able to grow and roll out across all of Cook County here in Illinois first, and then even beyond. So throughout Illinois and then to other states, because we want to make sure that every child by, their 3rd grade year has at least 60 new high quality books in their home from us. So that's our kind of big goal that we're reaching for right now. But we started really small with small donations, and it grew from there.
Oh, it's awesome though. I love that's a bold goal. I love that. So let me ask. I want to get into some of the questions that we typically ask on the podcast, because I love asking it to people who aren't necessarily like classroom, like in the education world, quote unquote, but are still involved in it. So I want to get there. But I want one last question to follow up. Not last question, but another question about this. If I'm a teacher, and I have a feeling Ray's already thinking this, is like, if I'm a teacher and I'm listening to this right now and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. How do I, as a teacher, get involved with this? How do I take a part of this? How do I help?
That was literally the next question I was going to ask. I'm so glad you went there.
Right after 200 and some episodes, I kind of start reading minds,
So one, for all of you fabulous teachers, if you're interested, right now we're focusing our donations on the Evanston, Chicagoland area, like I said, with the hopes to grow. So if you're in the Chicagoland area and you're looking for books for your school or your classroom, you can sign up. Just go to our website. There's a wait list, and we just knock that wait list out each month. We do 2 to 3 donations each month, monthly donations. So if you're interested in books, that's one way. If you're interested in getting involved with the work we're doing, we also love to have volunteers. Right now, during the pandemic, it's hard to do that in person. We could use help labeling, sorting, all that kind of stuff with books. It's a little difficult to do that now, but we're working to find ways that folks can help us grow, help us connect with different schools and organizations in a volunteer capacity. So that's another way that teachers could get involved and help us out. We rely on teachers to help us, level books and tell us which books are age appropriate and kind of put us on to new authors. So we definitely tap into the teacher education community to make sure that we are certainly providing the children with books that are meaningful and educational and will help them and their imagination and love of reading grow. So those are a couple of different ways that teachers can become involved in the work that we do. We're even looking to expand our board. So any people who are interested in joining us in that capacity could certainly reach out. So there are several different ways that teachers can become involved in the work that we do.
I love it. Everything's over at youngblackandlit.org. You can find out a whole lot there. So I love it. So I want to talk about one of the questions that we ask most of our guests that I always love is around the idea of failure. And I always say that I've been fortunate enough to fail a lot because I've learned from those, and I continue to learn from failures even if they've happened 10 years ago. Can you share with us a time that you've had a failure and kind of take us there with you? What happened? How did you overcome that? And then what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I'm an attorney by day. And so having taken on a number of cases in my career, I have certainly had cases that did not come out in my favor. I win more than I lose, but I have lost. And and so in those instances, especially in those cases where I felt like I've made, a legally compelling and persuasive argument, I'm truly being, the advocate I think I am on behalf of my client and making the best arguments I think I can make. Sometimes it just does not come out in your favor. And I think from those cases, I have learned that no matter what, I always have to put my best effort put forth my best effort in everything that I do and be able to accept the defeat and learn from the defeat, right? And so I always try to take those as opportunities to learn what I could have done better, what mistakes I made, if any, and hone in on those skills to make sure that the next time around, I'm a little better at what I do. I'm a better advocate. I'm making better arguments. And I'm perfecting my craft in that way. So I always take them as opportunities to really kind of self-reflect, do a kind of an audit or a diagnostic after the case to see what went well and what didn't go well, and take it as an opportunity to learn better. I think every failure should be looked at as an opportunity to get better.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And we carry that same philosophy on the Teach Better team, which is why, oh my gosh, you're just such a perfect guest on this podcast, because I love this perseverance and kind of like focus of growth and helping others. Oh my gosh, I'm like eating this whole story up. And I won't lie, even as you're talking, I'm like searching on your website. You guys have so much stuff and it's just to help kids. Like, how could you not love the work you do? I'm so impressed. I'm so glad that you came on this podcast.
Thank you.
So I do have to say, I mean, obviously this is a weird year, right? 2020 has kind of thrown everybody into a little bit of a doozy. But if you had to identify something that's exciting right now about education, is there something that you can kind of like pull out that's really kind of fueling your fire and keeping you excited about what you're doing?
I think for specific to the work that Young Black and Lit is doing, the pandemic at the beginning, everyone was trying to figure out, day to day, how to pivot, how to respond to the daily changes that seemed like were happening as we were learning more about the pandemic. And as schools were closing, as libraries were closing, what we realized was that there was a real opportunity for us to step in and get books into the homes of children, like our actual mission. And so what we found is we started partnering with schools to start shipping books directly to the children's homes. But prior to that, we would like drop books off at the schools and the teachers would be able to distribute them to the students. So while we miss that interaction, we miss being able to go into the schools, into the classrooms and talk to the students and see their reaction to the books. What we found is that we heard from parents who were like, when the school shut down and the library shut down, I didn't have, I was not prepared. And so when they received like a little package of books from Young Black and Lit, they were just really excited to have something to start with, right? Like something to engage their child while, the world was in a bit of disarray. And so we got really motivated by that, and we started doing more partnerships. We partnered with a foundation in Evanston, Foundation 65 actually, and we gave them a bunch of codes so that they could give them out to students who had been experiencing homelessness or were having a particularly challenging times, and those children could go onto our website and purchase books with this code. So like they could shop for the books. It wasn't just us handing them the books. They could go in and browse and select the books they liked and get those books shipped directly to them. So that was also something that was really meaningful. So we were just really excited about the opportunity to get books during a time of need directly to the children who needed them most, right? And for me, I know as a child, books have always been an escape, a comfort. They allow me to go places in my imagination, just sitting right in my bedroom, snuggled up. So I know for a lot of the children who receive the books, especially during these stressful times, being able to just have a good book and escape, it has been, good for them as well, a good resource for them during these times as well. So I've just been excited about that opportunity to fill a need that we saw existed during this pandemic.
Ugh, and such an important need. I had so many students reaching out very, very early on to this process. And the one thing that they couldn't get a hold of that we couldn't really help them with right off the bat was books. I mean, you are totally solving a need that exists and even helping educators out by shipping them directly to students' homes. I mean, that just takes the weight off the teacher's shoulders of saying, how can I make this happen? And so I love, oh my God, that's such like a, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? I love that. You've taken that approach. Good. So I know this sounds odd, but I really would love to kind of shift our conversation to advice. And our listeners know that we very commonly talk about advice kind of at this point in the podcast. But if you had to give a piece of advice, whether it be, maybe to educators, because I really feel like this is something that educators can so easily get involved in. What piece of advice would you want them to hear? Because you're not only doing important work getting people books, but you're doing important work on a really important problem that we need to find a solution to. So what would be your piece of advice for people?
For educators, first of all, my sister's an educator. She's on our board. Like, I love teachers. I think you guys are fantastic and do move mountains. So if I think in the context of the work that Young Black and Lit does, our focus really is on increasing representation and access, because representation for us is just so critically important. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the, mirrors and windows concept of like, when a child can see themselves reflected back in the literature that they read, they feel valued, they feel that their culture and their family is valued. And then when children can, take a look into a window, see into another culture, they learn to empathize and understand and see similarities that they may not have otherwise known existed. And so for me, if I am giving advice to an educator, I would say keep those concepts in mind of representation, of choosing to lead your the folks that you're educating, the children that you educate in a way that is ensures that every child feels represented, valued, feels that their culture is centered in the conversation, feels that you are committing daily to ensuring that you're creating a space where everyone feels welcomed. I think those types of things go a long way towards encouraging a space where children can learn, right? If you feel important and valued, then you feel like you might have more of a voice to participate in a conversation, no matter what that conversation is, no matter what you're learning about. If you feel empowered, if you feel important, I think that just leads to a more engaged student. And so I would hope that educators are always keeping that in their mind, keep making, a daily consistent choice to make sure that their classroom is reflective of every child they're teaching, is equitable, and creating a space where each and every student can thrive.
Yeah, the representation is so important. Creating that space, that atmosphere, that welcoming environment, so crucial. And that's why the work that you're doing is so important as well. You are also, just because you guys are so awesome, you also decided you want to give away a book. And is it a book and a tote bag? Do you have tote bags?
Yes, we do have cute little Young Black and Lit tote bags.
I love it. So we're going to do this, and I know your space is on Instagram, so we're going to do this one on Instagram, which is a little bit different. A lot of times we have everybody tweet. For this one, you got to head over to Instagram. We're at Teach Better Team on Instagram. What's your handle over on Instagram?
We're at Young Black Lit.
Young Black Lit. So you have to try to tag both of us. We can do a post or a story. I'm okay with either way. We're going to keep an eye on it. But we talked about this before. Here's what you need to do. Share with us your favorite children's book that represents or highlights and shows a reflection of a young Black child. And share that with us, because this is going to be really cool, because someone's going to win something, but also we're going to be sharing a bunch of really great resources, and that's always a lot more fun that way. So do that over on Instagram. We'll pick someone randomly, and Young Black and Lit is going to hook you up with a book and a tote bag. Ray, you can't win. I know you're about to ask.
You know what? I am already figuring out how to get this crew in my town, so I don't even care. I'm getting a tote bag one way or the other. I love it.
I can't wait to see the post.
I love it.
All right, we're gonna do the next 6 questions. Something we always do in this podcast as well. 6 questions. I'm gonna throw them at you. Your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready to go after this?
I'm ready.
All right. What is one tech tool, something technology that you can't live without?
I mean, I feel like it's obvious. My phone.
It's always an accurate answer. Can you share a book that you're reading right now? You can share up to 3 if you'd like. Any kind of book that you got going reading right now.
Yes, I've been rereading The Color Purple by Alice Walker, The Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, and I'm planning to reread Beloved by Toni Morrison.
Nice. Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today? I'm guessing it's going to be Instagram. You can share up to 3 if you'd like.
No, these are Twitter. On my personal Twitter account, I follow Michael Harriot. He's at Michael Harriot. He's a writer at The Root who just does funny like analysis of society. And then I'll give you a funny one, Roy Wood Jr. He's you can see him on The Daily Show. He's at Roy Wood Jr. He's just hilarious, and we all need to laugh. So
he's good. I enjoy him a lot. What's a good YouTube channel, website, or podcast educators should check out?
I really like Code Switch on NPR. They just, break down and discuss race issues in America.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Oh, I say whatever it is that makes you feel good. Practice that every day. It's a good self-care activity. Mine is taking a nice long shower.
Nice. And lastly, the best piece of advice you've ever received.
Be intentional about everything that you do. Have an intention behind every action.
Oh, that's so important.
Oh, that's good.
So
I hear Hans Apple just applauding right now.
I know, that's like seriously intentionality, and it makes such a difference. Even if you're doing the same action, doing it with intention feels better, has a better impact. I love that piece of advice. So good. I do want to make sure that everybody can stay connected to you. I want them to check out the website. I want them to go to your Facebook page. I want them to follow you on Instagram, all the things. Would you mind kind of sharing how they can do that?
Yes. So our website is youngblackandlit.org. You can follow us on Facebook at Young Black and Lit and on Instagram at Young Black Lit.
All right. And you can find all the links, all the resources, and everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those really important links for continuing to connect with Krenice and the whole crew over there. So head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing people, and just share this podcast with them. Krenice, this was awesome. I'm so glad that you agreed to come on. I just love the work you're doing. I think it's such a cool story, an inspiring story, and I can't wait to just watch it continue to grow and impact more and more lives. But just thank you for coming on and sharing your story and hanging out with us for a little bit. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
All right. Until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.